Well, it's about to get better. It's been a great day. First of all, we had Heavenly Waffles. Huge shout out to them for stopping by the station.
Thank you, Chef Bob.
Providing us with breakfast, delicious waffles. Highly recommend it. Shout out to the mill as well behind us. We're still running the little giveaway, as if you want to come in, purchase a coffee, you can be entered to win 2 tickets to this weekend's game. We'll do that drawing after the old school show at 6 p.m. tonight. And then now we want to definitely thank Charlie Colon as he is joining us. Charlie, what's up? How's it going?
Very well, gentlemen.
We want to thank you publicly. We already thanked you privately, but you provided lunch for our staff today here at the new spot. Had to come down, check it out. You guys at Chick-Fil-A are phenomenal. I mean, whether it's drive-through, whether it's in-house service, anything. I mean, you guys are top of the line, and we really appreciate all your support, all your help as well. And we love, working with you guys. Before we get into our true conversation with Charlie, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line, both open for you guys the entire show today. First of all, Charlie, I got to ask, volleyball day in Nebraska, because before we go too deep into the future, right? Because we got to talk Husker baseball, because the schedule is obviously, you played at Nebraska, early 90s, right?
Late 80s.
Late 80s. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Well, you're there in 1990, right?
Yeah, true.
Okay,
true,
perfect.
true.
There we go.
That's early
90s,
right?
That's early 90s. Yeah. Now, early
very
2010s.
very young man.
But nonetheless, okay, so volleyball day in Nebraska was such a special event, but you guys at Chick-fil-A decided to do something really, really cool and bring a giant semi and sell Chick-fil-A out of the semi in front of the stadium. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it was August 30th was a busy day.
Mhm.
When that thing got announced, we had some conversations with our team at South Point, partnered with the team at 48th and O, got a hold of Chick-fil-A corporate and said, hey, there's going to be a huge volleyball event in Lincoln, Nebraska. Are you interested in sending us, we call it Mobile Kitchen 3?
Okay.
And they said, what do you got going on? I said, it's volleyball day in Nebraska. We're going to have 90,000 people, I think, at a volleyball game. And they said, we normally like to do big events. I don't know if 9,000 people at a volleyball game is going to get it done. And I said, no. You guys don't know Nebraska fans. I said 90,000. They said, you got to be kidding me. How do you know? Have the tickets already gone on sale? No, sir, they haven't. Do you have a contract to sell in the stadium yet? No, sir, I don't. So you want to swipe your credit card today to reserve Mobile Kitchen 3 for us to come up and sell Chick-fil-A in the stadium? Yes, sir, I do. I know Nebraska fans. And so they said, hey, we got to talk to our team at Chick-fil-A. Let's see if it's available. It was at the Little League World Series, the Oshkosh Air Show. Sure enough, you guys, it was available. So that thing rolls in on August 25th, 26th, and giddy up.
Once again, we're sitting down with owner of South Point Chick-fil-A, Charlie Colon, and talking about volleyball day in Nebraska. First of all, I buried the lead. I've heard this story before, and shout out to Bud Seinhorst, LIBA president, because you came in back when we were at our old station. Came in on the first ever LIBA business hour on a Saturday morning and told your story about how you got involved in Chick-fil-A. And it was, obviously I did not know that at that point. And a lot of people that maybe were not, or, were listening on Saturdays weren't always listening during the week. So tell folks how you got involved, the story of why you became a franchise owner of Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, it was, I had worked at Gallup for 24 and a half years, almost 25 years. Loved it. Did a lot of domestic travel, a lot of international travel, spent a bunch of time in strengths-based leadership and employee engagement, and kept bumping into Chick-fil-A because they were a client. Loved their food. I was always fascinated, you guys, by the service model. So the My Pleasure thing, it was a hook for me. I thought that's amazing that you can roll in at 6:00 on a Friday night. The place is just getting smoked, and every employee, My Pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. So go on to Atlanta in 2012 on a business trip that week. End up having a conversation with Chick-fil-A in the office. And I flippantly said to him at the end of the meeting, I said, what's it take to own one of these things? So I'm interested. You guys are amazing people. Oh, you just put your application. I said, it's not that easy. I know how this works. She goes, no, really? You just put your application. I said, I'm not from a food service background. She goes, that's just fine. Do you know how to love people? Do you know how to run a business? And do you know how to love in a community? I said, I think so. But she goes, fill in your app. So I get back to the airport that night. I called the lovely Miss Dawn Cologne. I said, Dawn, have you ever thought about us owning a Chick-fil-A? And in the best way, my lovely wife says this. She goes, oh, honey, you've been on the road all week. Just come on home. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
You get hit with that, oh, honey. You're like,
here we go. So what my brain heard was, go ahead and fill out the letter of inquiry while you're on the plane. And when you get connectivity back in the airport, go ahead and hit submit. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So I did. Didn't hear anything for about 6 weeks. Get an email back. Hey, we got your letter of inquiry. We'd like to take you through a telephone interview. Did that. About 2 months later, got another one. They said, hey, we'd like to do a Skype interview. Did that. Asked me to come to Atlanta on our dime. Did that a few times. Long story boring. Ended up going to Atlanta about 9 times over the course of 2 years. And then they made us an offer in Omaha to own the one at 175th and Center.
Yeah.
And we said no. And the reason around saying no was for us very simple. My daughter had just started high school. My dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And one of my best friends, John Clark, had just passed away on the Lincoln Police Force. And we just weren't ready to move because I know how I'm wired and how my wife's wired and how Chick-fil-A is wired. And if you're going to do it right, you got to be there all the time. And commuting to Omaha was not going to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And moving away, take my daughter out of high school wasn't going to be a thing. And not being able to care for my dad wasn't a thing. 4 months later, phone rings. It's Chick-fil-A. Hey, we just bought 9 macaroni grills in the Midwest. One of them's at 27th and Pine Lake. Are you familiar with that location? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
and away it went. We opened in 2015. It'll be 8 years next month.
What makes Lincoln so special? Because I mean, like, I had seen you at a place I previously worked at, right? And with your son, hitting baseballs and things like that. And so I know the community. We know the community here at the Ticket as well is so special from the food industry. What's made Lincoln such a good spot for a Chick-fil-A?
So I think a couple of things. I think one, there was a readiness for Chick-fil-A. Mm-hmm. I think there obviously Chick-fil-A is very slow to open. We only open 80, 85 restaurants a year. So there's some pent up demand. Mm-hmm. And you can do that. That's all well and good. But point number 2, and I truly believe this. You've heard me tell this story before. Now.
Yeah.
There's just good people here. Like, it is a big, small town. My dad went to Lincoln Northeast, graduated in 57. My granddad was dean of admissions in Nebraska Westland for 25 years. My mom taught at Lincoln Northeast and Lincoln High. I worked at Gallup. We only lived in Omaha for a couple of years and then moved back to care for my grandma and dad. Like, this is our town. Like, we love this place. But it doesn't matter that that I've lived here the majority of my life. Like, there's just good people here. It's Midwestern values. It's people that treat each other the right way. We're not perfect, far from it, right? We don't have all the amenities of a big city, but you know what we've got? We've got great people that are willing to go on a limb, extend a hand, be kind, and help local ownership when we're trying to get something off the ground. And that's what happened in 2015.
We're hanging out here with Charlie Cologne, Chick-fil-A South 27th and Pine Lake location. I mean, folks have seen the long lines, but those long lines sure don't take long. I mean, it's so awesome. And that's a big, a huge and very popular part of it, I think, is that I'm sure you hear it quite often, is that, we don't, there's multiple times my family and I specifically, we'll go to Chick-fil-A. Why? Because even if there's a long line, it doesn't take very long.
Yeah, it's really a problem for me because we're sitting there, we're just like, man, what should we have for supper? And I'm just like, especially when we were working down there and that we were sitting there and I go, well, Chick-fil-A is right here. So even when the one out on O Street and 48th and O wasn't there, we're sitting there in this South 27th and I'm sitting there with my wife and I'm like, we should get some Chick-fil-A because it's all the way out there. And I go, I don't care.
It doesn't take long.
We've got great employees.
Okay, so let's talk about the team then, because as people know that if they've gone through Chick-fil-A and yours especially, the politeness is through the roof, and that's a big part of it. And you talk about the good people. Talk about your team.
Yeah, so we've got about 107 people as of yesterday that show up every day with a heart to serve other people. We are not perfect. I promise you, we're going to make a mistake at some point in time today or tomorrow. But their willingness to own the mistake, fix it, apologize, and learn from it is huge. Yeah. And I get the biggest kick, you guys, when people say, "Where do you find these people? Like, this is amazing." They're everywhere. Right? 99.999% of people are amazing. And so we are very blessed to have a culture and a team. My wife works with us every day as the director of community relations. My daughter is our director of human resources. My son is getting ready to start a marketing internship with us. And everybody else on that team, and I said this from the day that we opened the business, I want it to feel like they can come to work and bring all of themselves, that they can thrive. They can be family if they choose to be family, but we are going to treat them like family. Yeah. And so going back to volleyball day, not to get ahead of us,
it's fine.
But that there's no way we could have pulled that off without people that are outstanding at their job, because between us and 48th and 0, we ended up making 9,000 chicken sandwiches August 30th. That's
wild.
And we sold 8,880 of them.
Jeez.
In 20 different concession stands inside the stadium. And unless you have people that are really good at their job, that are really committed to the mission and purpose. Listen, it wasn't about selling chicken sandwiches. It was about being a part of something special at Memorial Stadium on August 30th, whereby we just happened to sell chicken sandwiches.
Okay, so
now I don't know if you saw the uproar on social media when a couple of people took pictures of the fact that Chick-Fil-A was on the boards in some of the concession areas. People were like, Memorial Stadium getting chicken sandwiches. It went ballistic on social media. So I'm sure that you might be able to work that into some future conversations, right?
We can only hope. We can only hope.
Okay, now Charlie, a couple more. We got to talk sports because you're here, obviously.
Let's go.
But one last one about Chick-fil-A and about what you do. When you tell these stories and when you talk about your journey, do you ever catch yourself going, "Whoa"? I mean, it's just been a crazy ride. Do you ever catch you take a step back and be like, "This is not how I pictured my life 20 years ago"?
Absolutely.
But I'm thankful for it every day.
That's an awesome question, Nick. I cannot honestly say when I was sitting at the University of Nebraska in business class, thinking to myself, I always wanted to be a business owner. I owned a little Christmas light business back in the day as a side hustle. Different story.
For a different time.
Yeah. But I don't think I ever saw myself owning a restaurant. Certainly didn't see myself celebrating doing 220 cars an hour in a drive-through. Didn't see myself owning 4 cow suits. Didn't see myself having parachutes drop out of the sky at Pinnacle Bank or Devaney Arena. Or volleyball day. I think the answer to that is yes, but I'm going to be honest with you. I love to dream. And I had a granddad that came to this state, first generation from Puerto Rico, that at the time of his death had been the dean of admissions at Nebraska Westland, had owned his own business when Gateway Mall started. He and my grandmother went out on a limb, started a store called Lord Jean's, spoke 5 languages, and never knew an obstacle.
Wow.
Never knew an obstacle. Puerto Rico, right? Won't say Puerto Rico. Never knew an obstacle. And I wear this right here. This is what my granddad and my dad grew up telling us. If it is to be, it's up to me. There's going to be lots of things that come at you. But unless you are willing to go the extra mile and own your own journey, it's going to be a hard go. But I wear this, and we gave these out at my dad's funeral. I'm telling you what, and it was generational for me. I bumped into some Husker baseball players at the football game the other day. They're all wearing them. Right. That speaks to me in a way and reminds me to be grateful. Yeah. It reminds me when those lines are long on Friday night or Saturday afternoon before a Husker game or down at the trailer, right? There's beauty in the struggle. There's beauty in the hard times, because nothing is given. Right? You got to earn it. But every day I get up excited to see my crew, excited for the opportunities, and knowing full well that if it is to be, it's up to me, right? I got to keep moving forward. I got to keep new opportunities coming. I got to keep growing our team, because if our team's growing, that means I'm growing. And so that's my purpose every single day.
That's pretty awesome. Once again, we're hanging out with Charlie Cologne here, and as we are wrapping this one up, we got to talk Husker baseball, because yourself, former Husker, and then also today of all days, the day you come in, they release.
It's like they
knew Charlie Cologne's coming into the ticket, and they want something to talk about. So here we are, just a few months away from baseball season, as MLB season is winding down. Cubs fighting for a playoff spot still.
You and Steve are going to talk about that. I'm going to walk out of the room.
Nonetheless, couple months away from Husker baseball. It's going to come up quick. And they just released the schedule. I mean, just overall thoughts on conversations you've had with players and coaches, because you've been active and around every now and then with that program still. Going forward, just give your thoughts on Husker baseball.
So I'll give you 3 quick thoughts.
Okay.
Without this, we could do this all.
Absolutely. I know we could, Charlie.
The guys that they have returning and have brought in from a leadership perspective, rock solid. From a talent perspective, rock solid. When I looked at their schedule today, when they start out in Minnesota and they're playing Baylor and Texas Tech and Oklahoma, that tells me a whole bunch. Like, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I love Coach Bolton, Coach Childress, Coach Harvell, all those guys. I love what they're doing down there, because it's more than baseball, right? They are recruiting. They've got dudes. They've got dudes, but they've got dudes with high character. And so when I think about what Coach Rule is trying to do, when I think about what Coach Hoiberg is doing, what Coach Cook has done forever, like, there is a component where you have to have great talent, but you got to have great character, because those guys leading, the coaches can't be doing all the leadership.
Yeah.
It's got to come from within. So when I look at their schedule and I see those three teams right out of the gate, it tells me something, and it sends a great message to their team. Let's go.
We're
right.
in it.
So number one, the guys that they have coming back, solid.
Yeah.
The guys that have transferred in, solid. And their schedule,
it lines up well.
It lines up really well. And I'm telling you, this year, of all the years that we have had in recent memory, this could be a very special Husker baseball team.
There you go. I mean,
you got to front load it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you do have it front loaded with RPI and such. But that's what those Baylor, Texas Tech, and Oklahoma matchups do for you. And then, not to mention, February 22nd through the 25th, they travel to Grand Canyon.
We will be traveling to Grand Canyon.
We made the executive decision that we're hanging out in Grand Canyon.
You know what's funny is you were asking me about where I went to college. I went to Kearney. They're the Lopers. You know what Grand Canyon's mascot is? The Lopers.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It all comes full circle.
I love it.
But no,
we got some guys that I coached at Lincoln Christian this last year that are down at GCU. Be a great opportunity to see them. But to catch 4 games, let's go.
I might as well.
I'm down.
There you go. All right. see, we got conversations that I guess we have to have. But no, Charlie, man, appreciate it every time we get to say hello, talk to you when we're passing by in the drive-through. Whatever it may be, whenever paths cross, we appreciate it. You're welcome back anytime.
Yeah, we might have to bring you back for baseball season. Bring you back a couple of times.
I can make that happen. You guys, I will tell you guys.
You're busier than we are.
No chance. We all got 24 hours a day. But I'm going to tell you, there's a reason you guys crush it every single day, is because not only are you good at your jobs, you are kind people.
We appreciate you.
You are kind people, and we appreciate you right here in this town.
Once again, make sure you visit Chick-fil-A, 27th and Pine Lake. And if you see Charlie, make sure you say hello and that you heard him on the ticket and stuff. And he and his team will definitely hook you up, and they'll treat you right. So once again, Charlie Cologne, Chick-fil-A, former Husker baseball player. Appreciate it, man.
Good to see you guys.